Is Claude better than ChatGPT for interior designers? So people are switching to Claude recently because apparently the writing is better, the reasoning behind it is better, and people are raving about its coding capabilities, and apparently it can also run the work for you behind the scene. On the other hand, a lot of people still use ChatGPT probably. I'm definitely one of them. I use it all the time in my interior design workflow. A lot of people also know that ChatGPT can be weirdly optimistic and enthusiastic about every answer, but it's pretty good at image generation and creative support for interior design workflow. So in today's video, I wanted to compare both ChatGPT and Claude using the same prompts and asking the same task, and basically find out which AI is better for interior designers' workflow. If you're new to my channel, hi, welcome. I'm Mia and I'm an interior designer based in London. And on my channel, I share everything related to helping interior designers from like AI to creating portfolio. So if that's something that you're interested, I would love for you to stick around and also subscribe. That'll be even better. So I've divided the topics that I'm gonna test out on ChatGPT and Claude today. The first one is concept development and the research. The second one is image generation and SketchUp rendering. And the third one is manual tasks that interior designers have to do, such as like FF&E schedule. It takes so long time. Just a quick disclaimer before we dive in. So these comparisons and feedback I'm gonna share today are purely based on my workflow as an interior designer and how I think fellow interior designers would use AI today. So your opinion and your preference would actually differ if you were working in finance or tech, because let's be honest, I don't need to code day to day working as an interior designer. So this is purely based on creative perspective. Now, if you guys are ready, let's jump in. So first one is concept development. So let's say I have a project in maybe like Los Angeles, I'm designing a hotel and I need some concept ideas to pitch to a client. I'm basically going to type in the chat box that I am pitching a design concept for boutique hotel interiors in Los Angeles and want to come up with the design concept that will guide the design direction throughout the hotel. Concept needs to be inspired by local history, heritage, and culture and has a story that can be translated into design details, decisions, colors, and materiality. Think as a world-class interior design for high-end project, and let's hit enter. ChatGPT will come up with some narrative and it gave me some options. So the first one is the Mirage Workshop. I'm not sure about the title, but it kind of gives like the core idea of like Los Angeles is a city built on illusion, film sets, facade, reinvention. This hotel becomes behind the scene atelier where reality and fiction blur. If you scroll down, there's like a narrative, there's also design translation and how you could like space plan, materiality suggestions, colors, details, and so on. And it's also giving me like the second and third concept idea, which all of it gives like the spatial planning, the narrative, materiality, and detail suggestions. And at the end, when you scroll, it also gave us how to choose these concepts effectively. So it's giving us a questionnaire and things to think about in order for us to choose the concept. And at the end, it basically said that create a mood board direction, FF&E examples. So let's copy this text and then type back into the chat box. And I'm just gonna say that I want this for option 2 concept so the ChatGPT knows which concept direction I'm selecting with. So basically ChatGPT now gave us a little bit of more guidance how this design should feel like in terms of this concept that we selected. The visual language, so like what kind of architectural references with like case studies that we could look up as well. The FF&E direction, it's also giving like a specific area by area suggestion. So for example, it categorized lobby arrival space and it's giving furniture, lighting, accessory, and the guest rooms or bathrooms, and basically providing like all the options and materiality, atmosphere, furniture, each dedicated to each area. I guess all of this is a suggestion and a starting point. So like if you are in a blank page, these like keywords will definitely help us to just go back on Pinterest or get some inspiration, right? So I think this is a great tool to get started on a project and have like a reference words and keywords. It's a great starting point. But I didn't have time to read all of it, so I basically scrolled down all the way to the end and basically asked for a full design presentation, which the ChatGPT is also suggesting at the end. Basically, it created the presentation. You can see that it says Desert Modern Reverie presentation, and it's in the PowerPoint, so you can either download it as well. In this presentation, you can flick through the pages and see like ChatGPT has created a structure for us, what pages we should include when we talk about these presentation, I guess. So not too bad start, ChatGPT. I think it had a lot of text involved and I maybe wanted to see a little bit more images, but Next, let's see how Claude can do with the same prompt an exact brief on the concept development. So now we're in Claude. I'm just going to copy exactly the same prompts that we used in ChatGPT. And I haven't changed any prompts. So let's paste that in and then hit enter and let's see what it does. So I see that Claude is also giving like the story. It provided like the one concept. So it's called Rancho Moderno and it's giving the story. So like a little bit of a background. And if we scroll down, it says, let me build out a full concept board. So it's already taking an initiative, quite visually presented with the color scheme. There's like 4 design pillars, which again, it's already like presented so nicely. There's also giving the materiality. One thing I did notice is that these patterns of images are not actual images. So it's quite hard to understand what kind of texture it actually is. But I think in terms of like presentation, like really organized, it's really easy to understand. Then what I found it quite interesting was also like the reference touchstone. So Claude is giving us some examples of the houses, the case studies, and the design that we can look up. But when I moved the cursor, I couldn't really click this. So I asked Claude if they could give me the link to these touchstones. So I just wrote it down, can you give me the link to the reference touchstones? And basically it just started linking all this like websites. So when you went on these links and clicked it, it automatically brought you to this page. And I thought this was very helpful that Claude already gave like a link straight away, because you don't need to go outside of Claude to go and like type and search these websites. It was already there. So I thought that was super cool that you could do everything in Claude without moving the window so much. And the next thing I wanted to kind of test out is what we got in ChatGPT. So ChatGPT suggested the presentation. So I wanted to ask Claude if they could also create this concept into a presentation template with images. I noticed that Claude liked to ask whether we should continue further or like change something in the middle of while they're doing their own thing. So I just typed continue and then it just continued with the slides. So now you can see that Claude created this like presentation slide. I'm just gonna scroll down, but yeah, it's really well put together. It's a really good starting point as a slide, I think. This is so much better than what ChatGPT created earlier, because if you remember, it was like black and white, very like generic, basic headlines for each page, but Claude took it quite to the next level. It has a lot of details and the structure. It also came up really good like layout suggestions. So what you can do next is like download this PowerPoint. You can either edit there by yourself. Claude Pro also has this feature that you can integrate the AI like plugin into the PowerPoint already. So you can literally edit AI inside the PowerPoint, which is crazy. So the next one is research. The idea was that basically using the concept from ChatGPT, the desert modern reverie, can you provide 5 furniture brands inviting local to Los Angeles with the link? Basically, I'm just saying that I don't have knowledge in LA. Basically, it gave all these ideas of the brands. What I noticed is that I didn't want this to be a domestic brand, so I went back to the prompt and basically added that this needed to be a corporate brand with a trade discount. So let's add that in and then send this back to the ChatGPT so that it suggests the brands that can be used in a commercial project. So now it gave a different whole list of the brands, which I assume it has the trade discount. I can see that all this like brand has the link associated to it. So once you click it, you can directly go to the website, which I think was quite helpful. I think these brands seems like a quite rigid furniture brands. I can see that the location is Los Angeles, CA. So ChatGPT has understood the request of the furniture brands needs to be local. So now I wanted to test out basically that I had this image specific chair that I was looking for that I thought could fit in the concept. Let's bring this into ChatGPT, and then basically I wanted to ask to find a specific type of lounge chair that you can see on this image. So I'm just gonna type in, can you provide me a similar product list that looks like this chair in the photo? So it's kind of giving like all this like details of how the chair looks like, at the same time providing some of the chair, which I guess it doesn't really look exactly like the chair I was looking for, but I think it did the research and kind of came up with something similar, perhaps a little bit sculptural. But I noticed though that it was giving like an image and like the review of this product and then where that review was coming from, so the source of the website, but it didn't instantly give me the link to the brand. So I basically asked, can you provide me the link to the product? And then now basically it changed the furniture suggestion completely. So it's a whole new furniture, but let's see if it has the website. So I'm just gonna click onto the furniture. And yeah, I guess these are from Amazon. So that's not really what I was looking for. Obviously, as an interior designer, you don't want to specify anything from Amazon. It has to be a legit brand. So I'm slightly disappointed in ChatGPT's suggestion. I guess it is like suggesting a desert modern timber arm version. So like it has a bit of keywords to the reference image. But in my opinion, I don't think nothing from here looked like the reference image that I wanted. So let's see what Claude can do next. So next up is Claude. I'm using the same prompt. I'm asking, can you provide 5 furniture brands and lighting local to Los Angeles with a link, blah, blah, blah. It's the same prompt, and let's hit enter and see what Claude will suggest. So it's already researching a lot of links, which is quite transparent and you can see what's happening. And it provided all this list of furniture with the link, same with ChatGPT. Let's check out these, one of the brands. So this one, yeah, I like it. I like the style. And another one here, I think, yeah, it's completely different brands to ChatGPT. I feel like this website or suggestion has a bit more design feel to it, and it aligns a bit with what we were looking for probably from the concept. I really like this chair, for example. So I quite like the Claude suggestion, to be fair. It feels a little bit more design-led, in my opinion. And now let's ask the same question. So I'm going to bring in the same image and I'm asking Claude to find exactly the same lounge chair and the website and provide me with the product link. It's same with ChatGPT. It's providing like analysis of how the furniture should look like. So the details, like a description of the furniture. And it's providing few links to the manufacturer. So let's open one of them and let's check out Nathan Anthony. And maybe we can check out the product. Okay, very experimental. Let's go back and click to the next suggestion. Right, okay, so this one feels a little bit more aligned with the look and feel. It has the wooden frame, a lot of like details about the wood, so I really like it. For example, this chair is quite spot on, and then the rest of the furniture is also quite aligned with the mood that I was going for. So I found it Claude a little bit more helpful in terms of suggesting the furniture brand that was local to LA. Next up is Moodboard. Let's compare how ChatGPT and Claude can create moodboards. So let's start with ChatGPT. I'm going to type, I want to create a photorealistic concept image for the reception area. Can you ask me the right questions to create the image? And basically I'm just going to hit send and then let's see what ChatGPT will do. So if you ask, can you ask me the right questions? Like ChatGPT will help you come up with a design that you would like to create. So basically it gave me lots of like prompts that we should be thinking of. And when you scroll all the way down, it's basically providing us how we can answer to all these prompts. So let's just copy and paste all this like side ceiling camera and all these points, put it in a chat box, and then let's go up one by one and see what we want to provide. So I'm just going to put small boutique for the size. I'm going to specify like ceiling 4 meter high, for example, camera. It's giving like what kind of options you want to add. So I'm just going to go through all this and type it in and make it tailored how I wanted to achieve. And once you're done, let's hit enter. And then it basically provided like a prompt I can see that I could use to generate the image. So I'm going to copy paste all this like master prompt, paste it back into ChatGPT, and then basically asking, can you create an image from this prompt? And let's hit enter. And ChatGPT has created this pretty stunning image, I would say, that probably aligns with the mood that we were going for. And it also like used the reference lounge chair that I just popped in, so which is quite cool. And it followed like all the details that I've put it in. So like 4 meter high ceiling, for example, terracotta clay walls, for example, as well. Quite a simplistic reception desk and so on. So I'm very impressed with this image. The quality is really good. Now let's try out and ask ChatGPT if we could just change the reception desk to some kind of different texture. So what I'm going to type in is, can you keep everything else but only change the reception desk to this style podium? And I'm going to bring in some reference image of this pattern. And once you're done, let's hit enter and let's see what ChatGPT will do. And voila, I think it kept the original image as before and just changed the reception desk design. So if we compare to the before image, you can really see that the front bit hasn't really changed. And then they've only changed the reception desk. which is really cool. Now let's test it out in Claude. So I'm going to use the same prompt. I want to create a photorealistic concept image for reception area, and please ask me the questions necessary. And Claude, on the other hand, has made this like little quiz, which is quite fun. It's not like you need to copy and paste all the text and go back and forth. So I think it's very smooth and efficient this way. It's basically like giving me loads of questions and I have to just click to answer these. And then there's more questions, but it's kind of giving me like dividing so that it doesn't become like one long quiz. And now once you've answered all this questionnaire, it's very similar to ChatGPT. I think it's giving me like the master prompt as well here. And it's also suggesting that these prompts can be integrated into like Midjourney or DALL-E. So I want to test it out if Claude can also come up with as good image here. And you know what? So now Claude is saying that I'm not able to generate photorealistic image directly. That capability requires dedicated image generation tool like Midjourney or DALL-E. So yeah, it's being quite honest that they cannot really provide a photorealistic image. But at the end, when you see, like it says, what I can do here is create illustrated spatial concepts. So I was like, why not? Maybe that's something quite interesting as well. So I've basically asked Claude to basically do that for us. And I was honestly shocked to see this. I was not expecting it, but yeah, I don't know what I got here. It's not really a visual or interior suggestion. I'm not sure what I'm seeing here, but it's like a 2D flat image, very basic, maybe location of the reception desk, but this is way too far different from what we got in ChatGPT. Nothing is realistic, nothing is creative in my opinion. So yeah, I was quite shocked to test it out this one. So along with the line of image generation, I wanted to test out bringing in the SketchUp models draft and then rendering that on either Claude or ChatGPT. So let's start with ChatGPT. I'm going to basically say, can you render this to photorealistic render? And I'm going to bring in the SketchUp screenshot and then hit enter and let's see what it does. Voila, I think ChatGPT is just nailing the visual rendering. It's so good. I guess you can see like they haven't changed any design details and they've just added the lightings and made it look realistic. So I think this is a really high quality. What you can also ask is like, can you add London retail street view outside the window? I'm going to ask keep everything as it is because I didn't want it to risk ChatGPT changing anything on this design. So let's hit enter and see what it does. And voila, it just added this view outside. And I think that's so crazy, you know, like maybe like you can also specify a specific image and bring it into the chat. And I'm sure ChatGPT will do that for you without changing the image. So I'm really, really impressed by this result on ChatGPT. And next up, let's test out in Claude. I'm a little bit nervous about testing this in Claude because the last time was a bit of a disaster, but let's try it out anyway. So I'm gonna say the same prompt, can you render this image into photorealistic render? Bringing in the SketchUp and let's hit and see what it does. We knew this answer already. It's saying that unfortunately I'm not able to convert this into a render, so we already know the answer. I guess Claude is not really for visualizing, so that's good to know, but you can really clearly see that the difference of like the visual creativity and the quality and the image generation, ChatGPT is far better than Claude. So the last task I wanted to test it out is FF&E schedule. FF&E schedule is something interior designer has to do and it takes sometimes quite a long time to fill it in. And I heard Claude is quite good at these like productivity stuff. So I really wanted to test it out. So this time I wanted to start out from Claude. Okay, so what I'm gonna write on chat box is that, can you create a template for FF&E schedule? The column should have image name, brand, category, product name, dimension, color, materials, upholstery, general notes. I'm also saying that, can you insert these 4 products to start with? And I'm basically giving these links of like all different brands. So for example, this chair has different type of materials, auto table as well, different colors and materials and also dimensions as well. And then this chair by Hey, I wanted to maybe just give this link and then it also has a variety of like colors in as well. And then this sofa, different upholstery with the different configuration. So basically I just wanted to grab all this website and put it into Claude and let's hit enter and see what it comes out with. Right, so what I'm seeing here is a pretty designed a neat FF&E schedule on Excel, so you can download it from up here. As you can see, it has the image reference number, the category, brand, product name, dimension, color, finish, materials, and so on. And I can really see that the category is quite accurate. The brand is spot on. Apart from the third one, actually, it's STBC, but it was from Hey. But otherwise, the product name is quite accurate. They've put the dimension. The color is also TBC because I guess we haven't specified. So in general option, I think this is a great start. I'm going to tweak it though. So I thought the image reference number should come to the first column and then maybe the image to the second. So I'm going to ask that, but also I wanted to have a drop down menu of all the dimensions and the options for the color. So like have like a little drop down so I could select when I go into the schedule which one I wanted. So let's see if Claude can do that customization basically. It does its own thing. And did you guys see it already updated the image ref and the image column? So you can already see that they swapped. So which is great. And maybe I wanted to also check, I'm not sure, but if they could also grab an image from the website already according to this spec. So I've asked, can you insert image of the product from the website? And it started searching the product. But basically it told me that I need to be straightforward with you here. All of the brands has a blocking, so they couldn't do. So basically, yeah, Claude couldn't put an image, but what we can do is start downloading this. And let's also see if they created that drop down options here, because somehow on the web page, I can't do that. I just opened the Excel file that I've downloaded. It looks super clean and very organized. I really like how they put together the color, and I guess you can always change it on Excel. But what I'm curious is how they put together the drop down menu. So let's see. So you can see a little drop down menu here, which is crazy. It has all the options, which is so crazy, isn't it? Because like you have to do this manually one by one. That would have been such a time consuming. So this really helps to set out, I think, like the first template, because further down the line, like maybe you put like a FF&E schedule at the beginning, but maybe the client might change or you might change according to price. So it's really good to have this like drop down, I think, in my opinion, because you can easily change in the future without typing it all again. And now let's test it out, the same prompt in ChatGPT. So I'm asking, can I create the template for FF&E schedule in Excel? And I'm going to also bring the same website as well. And then let's hit enter. So within a second, ChatGPT also created this Excel. So let's click download it and then open it. I guess it's created a very generic template, but I don't really see if it's quite organized because I can see different lines here and so on. What I can say is that they're suggesting a little bit further. So I'm just going to type in autofill, dimension, materials, and color from each product. And I'm also asking the same thing as if they can do a drop down menu so I can select. So same kind of properties inside of Excel. So let's see how this can progress in ChatGPT. Right, so now ChatGPT has done its own thing. I can see that it's a lot cleaner, but let's download this and open it. And let's see how ChatGPT has created this FF&E schedule. Right, so I've downloaded it and I opened it, but what I saw was like an empty schedule. I was very confused, but basically it kept saying whenever I downloaded that it was like the file was harmed. So I couldn't find any information that I saw on ChatGPT. And then there was also this like list tab, which just didn't make sense at all. So I think we have a winner here for FF&E schedule because ChatGPT just couldn't really understand my request really well at this stage. Maybe there's a better prompt and maybe you need to do it like maybe ask a little bit more in a different way. But I think with the same prompt, Claude was a lot better and, you know, didn't use a lot of time to change and iterate and like ask so many prompts. So I think we have a winner here. So I think we can conclude that both AI, Claude and ChatGPT has its own part of the job that they're good at. I'll probably prefer ChatGPT for image generation for obvious reasons because Claude just failed so badly. But ChatGPT was really good at image generation on the concept phase, coming up with the mood board, inspiration image, but also like rendering SketchUp visuals. So I would definitely prefer ChatGPT for image related tasks, but I definitely agree with the Claude being good at like wording. So for example, like when you want to develop a concept, I thought the story behind it and like how they put together the concept narrative and the story was really good. And I thought within the chat, it was really visually easy to understand with the color palette and like the structure and like the keywords highlighted, potentially for like research as well, because I thought how they put together like the link and then the furniture website, that was also very, very helpful. It definitely proved the point of like putting like a FF&E schedule while you work on something else. It can just run in the background, right? Like you give so many like websites of the furniture or the list, and Claude can just work in the background for you. So maybe the answer is that it's not really about picking the one and ditching the other, but knowing which AI to use on different tasks. That was all for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed and learned something new. I would love for you to like this video if you found it helpful, and also subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out any future content. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you on my next video. Bye.